Hello, everybody. I woke up this morning with a horrible toothache. And the reason I'm even making a video is because I'm acting like a total baby. It really does hurt. It does not hurt as badly as it did at 7 in the morning when I woke up in pain. I've been treating it most of the morning. It is now almost noon. So of course I used Oragel. I've been taking acetaminophen and I've been doing a cold compress. So at one point I'm sitting here with this cold compress and I'm like, it hurts so bad. And I realized I'm just really being a baby about it because a toothache is horrible. It's horrible because it affects your entire body. I have a little bit of a headache from it. I have an earache from it. I hate toothaches. I hate them. So you're like, well, what's the point? Why are you even talking about this? Because many years ago, God was trying to show me about empathy. And one of the things I really hate is when people are like either very dismissive about how you feel about something. Like I can understand overreacting. We all do it, or most of us do. But you have to understand that there are some things that are going to matter more or frustrate someone more or hurt someone more than it might do for you. And that doesn't mean you dismiss it. That doesn't mean you just blow it off. Brene Brown does this amazing short film about empathy. And I highly recommend you watch it. I will put the link from YouTube into my description. Watch it because it adequately shows you what empathy really should look like and what it is. Maybe I'll just put it at the end of this video and include the link. But Brene Brown's amazing. If you want to watch any of her videos, she's amazing. Point in case. So when you start to get to the state where you realize the difference between sympathy and empathy, it makes you very much aware of things. Like, I hate when someone says, I know how you feel, because no, you don't. Even if, and I've used this analogy before, even if my best friend and I, or me and another person's mother passes away on the same day, our mothers pass away the exact same day, or even within a few days of each other, you cannot understand how I feel, and I cannot understand how they feel. I can empathize, but I don't know how they feel because our relationships with our mothers are completely different. Our mothers are two completely different people, and so are we. So to tell someone, I understand how you feel is sympathy. It's a pat on the back. It does not help us. To just be like, I can't imagine what you're feeling. I lost my mother, and I know it was very painful for me. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. That's empathy, as opposed to, I understand how you feel. No, you don't. I'm a word person. It probably doesn't bother people as much as it bothers writers, because word people, we're sticklers on words. But when God was showing me what empathy really means, he was showing me that it's more than just like that. Just saying, like Brene Brown will show you when you watch that. It's not just saying like, well, at least you are healthy otherwise. At least you don't have coronavirus, for instance. Yes, you have this horrible toothache that is just dominating your day when you have so much to do. But at least you don't have coronavirus. At least you don't have the flu. At least you don't have whatever, right? So what God showed me, and I always think about this, and I reference this to people, and sometimes they're just like, but when you're in the middle of it, you're like, yeah, okay. So, what it is essentially like when someone is dealing with something and we're very dismissive about it, I think of it, I call it the toothache mentality. So with me telling you that I have a toothache and the fact that I'm making a video about the fact that I have a toothache, you may be sitting there thinking, what does this have to do with anything? Well, it has to do with the fact that once you have a toothache, your whole world is dominated by the pain in your tooth. You feel it, and like I said, it goes everywhere. Sometimes it goes down into your arm. For me, it's focusing on my head. So my ear hurts, like I said. I have a little bit of a headache, and I've taken acetaminophen. Like, it's not like I have not taken any pain meds. And I'm very careful to make sure I'm taking them 4 hours apart. I'm not, even though I really feel like I need more, I'm not. I'm doing a cold compress. And I tried even like the pressure point, like right here, where you're supposed to squeeze in the And I felt like it was giving relief when I had the cold compress. And ironically, this side hurts. If I do it here, it hurts. This side doesn't. Probably because there's already pain there. I'm rambling. But the point is, you don't care that I have a toothache. If you're watching this, you're probably like, why am I wasting time watching a girl talk about a toothache? You don't care. I get it. However, just know that when you have a toothache, people aren't going to care that you have a toothache. So you need to start thinking about other people's pains in light of that. You know, when you have a toothache, it affects your day. It affects your life. It affects how you can talk. It affects how you feel. It affects how you approach your day. So even though you're going to tell somebody, like let's say you decide to call in sick because a tooth hurts so bad. I am so grateful that I did have to do a mock lesson today, but that I don't have to work my normal shift today, because on Sunday, I have class with like no breaks in between, one right after the other. So it's kind of good that that's not happening today, because I would have been miserable trying to teach these kids today. So when people are facing things in their life that you can't comprehend as frustrating, irritating, painful, don't be dismissive about it. Just let yourself. Hold on a second while I correct my dog. I swear this foster dog is like a teenager. He's like a teenager. He like has to get the last word, and it's the funniest thing ever. I'll yell at him for barking, and then he'll be like, roof, roof. See, the dog. His personality is definitely coming out. Okay, anyway. The IEs were walking down the hall with a cart, or a person was using the cart from downstairs to bring stuff, and it caused a lot of noise in the hall. He does not like noise in the hallway. I digress. You're facing a person that is dealing with something that you don't necessarily find stressful, something that you don't think requires an overreaction, like they're overreacting, something that you don't feel like is really something to get bothered about, but to them it is. And that's what empathy is all about. Instead of being dismissive, as sympathy is, you be understanding, as empathy is. So you say, I'm here for you. I understand you're stressed out. So for an example, a couple friends and I went to Japan, and we didn't realize that in Japan, China basically will not let like anything happen. So like my friend and I weren't getting texts, and we went like our pay had an issue, blah, blah, blah. So we didn't even know we'd gotten paid. Thankfully, the other friend with us, her text came through. I don't know why ours didn't. And she got the text that we'd gotten paid. But we couldn't access our money. So, like, WeChat wasn't working. You had to, like, our Union Pay cards weren't working because they weren't the ones that work internationally, whatever. We didn't know all this. So, basically, myself and the other young lady, we had managed to be able to bring enough. It would have been great to pull out more money there, but we had enough. The other young lady had tons. She basically carried this third person for a lot of the things that she wanted to do. So she was just generous and paying for like a lot of the stuff that, of course, this third person would pay back, and did pay back ultimately. And I was just like, I didn't really want to do a lot till I got to Universal Studios. So my money was kind of locked in and okay, because I was using it for Universal. So I helped out where I could, but it essentially, the person that would have liked to have had more funds, like I said, we all would have, but really was kind of on a limited budget due to the fact that the money couldn't come over. We used a lot of time on that trip sitting in like Family Marts and whatnot, trying to utilize ATMs, trying to, she was on the phone with the credit card company in the US. She was talking to her mom. So we spent a significant amount of time allowing her to process through this. She was getting frustrated and upset, and it's totally understandable because you're in Japan and you don't want to not have your funds when you're in Japan. So there's a travel lesson to you. Just make sure you're prepared. If you have American stuff, you should be fine to access things. But she was getting very upset a lot of times, and we were just being there. Like, we were offering solutions, we were offering guidance and help as we could, but we weren't trying to like rush her along, and we weren't being dismissive. We're essentially like, if we need to sit in here for 3 hours while you work this out, we're going to sit in here for 3 hours while you work this out, without complaining, without nothing. Like, I mean, even down the road later, like, it wasn't even brought up, even though I really wanted to. And I'll explain why in a minute. But so we just let her work through it, and everything went fine, and we had a fabulous trip, and it was great. And then you fast forward down the road to me having an issue with something later on down the road, and her feeling the need to correct me while I was struggling with something that irritated me, and her desire to bring correction because she felt she knew best. And I was trying to tell her, like, you don't get it. Like, I expect things done a certain way here, and I'm allowed to be upset about it. I'm allowed to be frustrated that I feel like this wasn't taken seriously, and I was basically just shrugged off, and life went on. And that was when I wanted to bring up Japan, but I didn't, because I've learned a lot in 40 years, and I know better. But those are two examples. You have people willing to be empathetic and just kind of be like, dude, I don't care. Like I said, if we have to spend 3 hours sitting here while you figure this out and deal with your frustrations, and you get upset, and you're frustrated and you're angry, and we're just willing to sit there with you and be there and offer solutions and help in ways that we can and figure stuff out. We're willing to help you out, as opposed to someone texting you and saying, you really need to get over this. What's wrong with you? I think you're just being too hard on this person. You need to just let this go. And it's like, yeah, but this frustrates me like that frustrated you. And so it's called the toothache mentality. My toothache was inconsequential to this person. Her toothache, I was totally able to I would have been a lot calmer about it, but whatever you got to do, you got to do. And you just got to work through it and deal with it. And I'll just be there with you as moral support and help you out in whatever way I can. So what's the point? The point is, friends, right now we're dealing with this coronavirus thing. You're going to meet a myriad of people. You're going to meet people that they're sitting there and they don't care. They feel like everything should just go on as normal, without looking at the global numbers and understanding that it can't go on as normal right now. Like, certain restrictions and preventative measures have to be put in place. You're going to have other people that are so panicked that you look at them like, you need to calm down. Like, this is not that big of a deal. But to them it is. Okay? Their toothache is their panic about this virus. That is not to say to just let them run rampant and be insane. But you need to be there with them, and to put platitudes and be like, dude, you're overreacting, is not going to help them let go of their panic. For you to be able to be there, if they're freaking out and they're like, I bought 3 packages of 12 packs of toilet paper, 12-roll toilet paper packs, and you're sitting there in your head going, dude, that's like 2 people that weren't able to buy toilet paper. But you're not going to tell them that. You're just going to be like, oh, well, that's good. At least you're okay. I mean, even if you don't need them, then you don't have to worry about it for a few months. I think that's more sympathy than empathy, though. If you watch Brene Brown, at least you don't have to worry about toilet paper for 3 months. That might even be passive aggressive. Just be careful. It's a fine line. In other words, just be there for them, support them, help them through it, but don't try to dismiss it. Don't try to make them feel better, because that's not your job. Your job is to be there. If they want you to make them feel better, then they'll tell you, like, well, what do you think? How do you think I'm overreacting? They might straight up ask you that. And if they do, just be kind about your response. Like, don't be like, yeah, you're overreacting. Be kind. Just be like, I think your feelings are justified. This is a pretty big deal. But, well, don't use the word but, because that negates what you just said. A word person. However, I personally feel like as long as we're washing our hands and keeping our hands away from our faces, and we're avoiding large crowds, and we're just being very careful, I think we'll be okay. But even if you're the lackadaisical, I don't care, you're the extreme panicker, everybody's going to die, or you're the middle road where you're just like, okay, let's not hoard, let's think about others, and if we're just smart about this, everything will be fine. Be considerate to all the other views. And that doesn't mean that you, like, encourage hoarding, or you encourage panic, or you encourage people not caring. It just means that you find the way to support these people without making them feel like what they're going through or what they're experiencing is not valid. So if I am able to, I will include the Brene Brown video after this. And either way, the link, after I upload the video, and I'm able to edit, the link will be in the comments. Not the comments, but the description of the video. I will include the link for the Brene Brown. I highly recommend you watch it either way. And then look for more of her videos because they're very good. But I hope you are all doing well and just stay safe. And so, as I say, be safe, be smart. That's my slogan for the coronavirus. And I just really hope you're all okay. And while my tooth still aches, it is definitely not to the level that it once was. So, thank you for asking.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, and climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.